C++ objects are based on C structures. In fact, you can create objects using either the struct or object keyword. Here I have a working copy of working.cpp from chapter 4 of the exercise files. And let's start by creating a structure using the struct keyword, and we'll take a look at how that works. We'll give it a few data members. These will all be integers. And then we'll create an object using it. And we'll go ahead and print out those values. And when I build and run this, you'll see that it prints out those values. So let's take a look at how this works. First, we define the structure using the struct keyword. And we give it 3 members, and these are data members because they're data, they're integers. And then we define an object using the structure name as a type and give the object the name A. So this is a variable of a structure if you're thinking in terms of C, or if you're thinking in terms of C++, it's an object based on this structure, and the name of the variable is A. And it's got 3 values for the 3 data members, 1, 2, and 3. And so when I print this out, you see IA is 1, IB is 2, IC is 3, and the data members are accessed using the elements selection operator. That's this little period here. And so this works on the object, and that's how you access the data members in the object. Now, if we had a pointer to the object rather than accessing the object directly, so I could do something like this. I can say a pointer. So this is a pointer to an A class object, and call it PA. We need to give it the address of A rather than A itself. And so now we have a pointer to A, and if I want to access these members based on the pointer, I can do it like this. I can say PA and use the pointer selection operator like that. And so let me just copy and paste this into these other places. And when I build and run, you'll see we have exactly the same result. So if you're using a pointer, you use the pointer selection operator, which is this dash greater than. It makes an arrow out of those 2 characters. And that's how you select the members through a pointer. So struct and class are identical with one significant difference. Members of a struct default to public and members of a class default to private. So this is exactly the same as if I had used the public keyword like this. And of course, we have exactly the same result. If I were to use the private keyword, you would see that this wouldn't work and we would not be able to access those members because IA is a private member. And there's no matching constructor because, again, these members are private. But the struct defaults to public, and so without either of those keywords there, it works perfectly because they're public. Now, if we use the class keyword instead of the struct keyword, you see we have these errors already because now those members are private. And so if we use the public keyword, now it'll work exactly the same as it did with struct. So the only difference between class and struct is that members of a class default to private and members of a struct default to public. Typically, data members in a class are kept private, and that's why it defaults to private. And they're accessed by public function methods called accessors. And we'll look at a quick example of that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this working copy and run clean. And we'll take our accessors.cpp file and copy it into our project. We'll cover this in more detail later in this chapter, but you can look at an example of what a class normally looks like with its accessor methods. And so here we have int IA, string SB, and int IC. So you can see you can use any type here for your data members. It doesn't have to be an integer. It can be any type. It could even be a structure. And then we have the public keyword to define the things that are public. These are members that are public, and these are all function members. And so we have setters and getters. So we have methods for setting the data members, and we have methods for getting the data members. And when I build and run this, you see that we have those values through the getters. You see I'm using the getters here, get A, get B, C string, get C, in order to get those values. And again, we'll cover the member functions in more detail in the next movie. So C++ classes are based upon C structures, In fact, C++ structures and classes are identical, except that struct members default to public while class members default to private. It's good practice to use struct when the structure will only have data members, and to use class when there are also function members.